Lynn nodded. The raccoon was hard to miss, her hunched back rising high enough to be seen above the grass that grew in the abandoned fields surrounding the house. Yeah? What about her? She hasn't been going out. Doesn't want to cross the field. Lynn felt the hairs on the back of her neck rise, a primordial response to danger that she had learned to never ignore. You think they're watching us? You think they got someone in the fence row? I think maybe. And whoever they are, they stopped building fires because they want us to think they're gone. Without fire, they're not eating much of a supper. People won't go long without a hot supper if they don't have to. They'll be coming soon. Coming for us? For everything. Lynn pulled her own rifle into her lap, the cold metal bringing more comfort to her than Mother's touch ever could. Her finger curled around the trigger, hugging it tight in the life-taking embrace that she'd learned so long ago. She slipped onto her belly beside Mother, watching the sunlight bounce off the twin barrels of their rifles. Waiting was always the worst part, the crack of the rifle a relief. Years before, Mother had shown her pictures of the thirsty dead. Their skin hung from their bones like the wallpaper that sloughed from the walls in the unused upstairs hallway. Swollen tongues were forced past lips cracked and bleeding, eyes sunk so deeply into sockets that the outline of the skulls was evident. Do you want to die like this? Mother had asked that night and every night since then. Lynn's answer never changed. No. And Mother's response, their evening prayer. Then you will have to kill. Regret was for people with nothing to defend. People who had no water. When Lynn was 10 years old, Mother had fired up the shortwave radio in one of her sporadic fits of optimism. Whether she had hoped to hear that normalcy had been returned somewhere in the world, or that the cities had begun to loosen their grip on water supplies, Lynn did not know. But the news that came caused Mother to smash the radio, not caring what the outside world had to offer anymore. Cholera. Mother explained that it had once been the most feared disease in the world, striking people in the morning and killing them by nightfall. It was waterborne, contagious, and deadly. Clean water sources and antibiotics had banished it for decades, but desperate people were now drinking brackish water, and the demand for medicine far outstripped the supply. Now thousands died from a disease that had been laughable a decade before. With dead bodies dropping all around the countryside and the water table rising with the spring rains, Mother had decided that the pond water could kill them as easily as save them. Mother's purification system was a simple strategy she learned from an issue of National Geographic. Sheets of tin roofing from the old red barn were laid out in the yard, the ends weighted with rocks to prevent them from blowing away. Bottle by plastic bottle, all the water collected from the pond rotated out to the tin sheets. They could only purify on clear days, when a full 8 hours of UV rays would kill any bacteria in the water. Even though it had lately been cooler in the evenings, the morning sun pounded on the back of Lynn's neck as she made the early water run to the pond. It would be a purifying day for sure, which meant hours of labor. She pushed the lip of her first bucket under the surface of the water, trying not to disturb the muddy bottom. No matter how careful she was, there were always flecks of dirt and algae that settled in the holding tanks. She moved along the bank to a new spot to dip the second bucket. When it was full, she set both buckets on the muddy bank and raised her arms to show Mother she was ready for the trek to the barn. Sunlight flashed off the barrel as Mother followed her progress, scanning the horizon for the slightest hint of someone watching. Lynn's upper arms were quivering by the time she covered the 100 feet to the barn doors. She set both buckets down to rest before sliding the massive door open. The water tanks sat there in the darkness, motes of dust settling onto their long white bodies. They had once carried chemicals.